Hello my crafty friends, I'm here with you today to share a really fun project. It's getting close to Easter, and with Easter comes Peeps, and I have to confess I've been a little obsessed with them. I like looking at them, I like the color of them, and I like eating them especially. I try not to eat too many, but they are delicious. I have made these little pop-up Peeps. May sound familiar to you, and they are paper. And I've used the Burniston slider box to make the box, and I'm going to show you all of the details of this. But when they come out, those little guys just pop up, and there they are, hanging with my Peeps. This was my very first one that I made, and I have made some improvements with it, and I'm going to share all of those with you in a few minutes. But this one is really cute. Here they go. There we are, hanging with my Peeps. You know, they come in yellow and pink, and in this one, it's a variety pack. Now, this one is especially fun because when you pull it out, whoops, come on, it's kind of stuck in there. I don't know what's going on. All right, here they come. A variety of them, but at this time, instead of putting hanging with my Peeps, I put inside. We're all the same with those little cute bunnies. I even have gone so far as to purchase a Peeps handbag. This little bag I found on Amazon. It is a Betsy Johnson design, and she also has a website, which I will link below. I'm going to show you just how I made all of these cute little paper Peeps, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is these cute little Peeps. I made mine in 5 different colors, but of course if you have glitter paper you may want to use that. I didn't happen to have any. I went on my computer to Free Clip Art Peeps, and it brought up all kinds of images of Peeps and Peep packages and Peep logos and Peep anything you can think about. However, I found the design that I wanted, I printed it out, and then I made a template just like this. Now this one has been well used and well loved, but I poked the holes where the nose and the eyes go so I can use it for my Peeps later. I didn't happen to have glitter paper in the color that I wanted, so I created my own. I cut out my Peeps on my Scan and Cut. If you don't have a Scan and Cut, this pattern would be easy to cut by hand. It's not too complicated, and it would be easy to cut out by hand, unless you want to make a whole lot of them like I did. But anyway, what I did is cut them out on my Scan and Cut, and I used double-sided adhesive on one side of the paper. I applied the adhesive to the paper, and then I cut out my Peeps. So now when I peel the lining off, I have a sticky surface. So I just decided that I would glitter mine to make them look like Peeps. And the glitter I used here was Elizabeth Craft Designs Warm Diamond, and it's transparent, so when you put the adhesive down in here, it comes out all glittery and sugary looking, just like you want a Peep to be. Then I burnished it down so it was all nice and neat and not too messy. Glitter can be messy, but this is pretty neat. So that's the way I did all of mine. And then after I got them all glittered, I placed the template on top of them, and I marked where the eyes and the nose go, and then I also cut off a little bit on the bottom. And the reason for that was I wanted the tops of their ears to show on the packaging, and they were just a little bit too tall. As it worked out, it turned out really cute, so I wasn't too worried about that. After I marked it with a pencil, I went back with a Sharpie and just made the nose and the eyes a little bit more noticeable, more distinguishable. So that's how I did that. Then I set all of those little guys aside after I had them made, and I made some little BAM boxes. These are from the Small Scenes BAM box from Burniston, and I made 4 of them for each package. So what I did is I flattened them down the way I wanted them to go. Now, for this particular purpose, this little round smiley face, I'm going to call it smiley face, it's not. It's a little round notch that's in the band box. So I flattened it down because I knew mine were going to go this way. Mine were the band box was too wide for my Peeps. So what I did is cut them smaller, just like this, and then I cut this little tip off where this hole is. You have to be careful not to cut the rubber band. But I left them a little wider at the bottom and then a little narrower at the top, and you'll see why in a minute. So once I had that done, I had a smaller band box that still worked perfectly. I'm going to cut these little tips off so they're nice and neat. Okay, so once I got that done on all 4 of them, I've already made my little Peeps on their band boxes, but I wanted you to see how they go. So here they are. I got my 4 little yellow ones all ready to go. But what I did was flatten this down just like this. I put my Peep on it like this, just like this, and then you need to turn it over. You're going to put glue on it, turn it over, and you want to put it on the Peep so that all of this is hidden. You don't want to see this when it's flattened down. So I'm going to do that right now. Put a little glue on there. So you're going to put the glue right on this part. The smiley face is up here on the top of the box. Oops. Sorry, that had a little clog there. So I'm going to flatten it down. I'm going to put my glue on, just like, whoops, that's a little too much. So I'm just going to smooth that out a little bit. Wait, so we don't need that much. So then I'm going to put the Peep right on that. And then I'm going to turn it over so I can see it from the bottom. You can see how I want to line it up. This is a little crooked, so while the glue is wet, I'm just going to line that bottom up with the bottom of the Peep where I cut it off. Just like that. So you need 4 for each box. So there's the band box attached to the Peep. Now you're just going to set those aside because you don't need them just yet. So now I have all my little Peeps ready to go. So I'm just going to set them aside for a minute. And we want to talk about the slider box. Now this is the first one I made, as I said earlier, and it works just great, but I found that I didn't really have a good way of opening it and that it was a little bit too flimsy. So I tried a couple of different things before I came up with the final solution. But when you pull this out, right here, you're pulling it by the box, and it's still cute. They pop right out and they look adorable. However, on the bottom, it was sort of flimsy. I put in a couple of extra pieces to support it, but it still wasn't exactly what I wanted. So what I decided to do was try something else. On this one, which was my second prototype, I made a little tab that comes out like this, and then you pull it like this, and the little guys come popping out, which is adorable. But what I did was to put 2 boxes together so that there was a solid foundation, and then there was also a tab to pull it with. Now, as you'll see on the one I'm going to make next and show you how to do it, I have added an extra tab or a stamp on it. Right here is where the tab's going to be. So before I did anything, I stamped it on there. It says pull. So the panels are going to look just like this, and I've written on all of them, and I have a copy of this at the end of the video as well as on my blog, which is linked below. So be sure to go there if you want to see more details. So I wanted to make the first panel, which is this one, and the first thing that I needed to do was make a split in it, and that's right here. As you can see, I put a split in it, and I simply put it on my trimmer between these 2 little marks and just cut it down. Now it needs to go a little bit further for the tab to fit in, but I'm going to do that after I get it assembled. I'll just put a little pair of scissors in there and open it a little bit more, but I didn't want it to fall off. So what we're going to do is make it, now that put the split in, that's number 1, and then we're just going to assemble it as we always do, just as the slider box instructions show you. And I have linked Karen's instruction video below for the slider box as well as the band box, so that if you need a little refresher, it's there for you, easily to find. Now I like to put the glue on the top tab here, and then on this little one I put a little on the top and a little on the bottom. That way it's got glue contact wherever it touches. So I'm just going to close it up like this, assemble it same as always, just like this. Basically it's going to look like any other box that you assemble for the slider box, except it's going to have an opening for the tab to slide into. Okay, so we already have our tab opening right here. So I'm going to do the same thing on this end, just an easy assembly. Okay. So there we go. Now we have our opening right here. Whoops, I should have erased those little marks first, but I'll do that in a minute. Now what we want to do, since we have two boxes and they're made with the same die and they're the same size, they're not going to fit inside of each other. So here's what I decided to do. On this one, which is panel 2 on the instructions, I cut off this tab right where the crease is, and I put a pencil mark there so it would be easy for you to see, but I'm just going to cut that off right where the crease is. That's going to come off, and then down at this end where I've stamped it for the pull, I want to make that into a little tab, so I'm going to cut off the corners from down below right to the crease mark, just like that, and created a little tab. Okay, so now we're going to assemble this one just a little differently. So we're going to take this one with our opening down here for our tab. We're going to put it to our right side, or if you're left-handed, you might want to put it to your left. But what we're going to do is put glue on this end, just on this tab where you cut the first part off, and you're going to put it right inside of here. So you're adding this box to the other one, and it might be easier for you to see this way. I just slid this part where I cut the tab off right inside the other box. I know it's hard to see with the white, and I apologize for that, but that's just going to go right inside. That way you can fold this one down. They still look good. You can fold the sides down, and you have extra support here, gluing the sides and the tab down to the end of the box. Actually all the way down. So I put glue all the way from here all the way down. I'm just going to glue that up to the side, and then these tabs, I'm going to close them on the ends. Just like that. Going to do the same thing on the other side. Glue all the way down. By doing that, you're not trying to put two things that are the same size in the same space. It just never works. But now, since we kept those other small tabs, we can just fold those down for extra support. That makes the bottom extra strong. So there we go. I'm just going to smooth that glue down. Here we are. So now, what we're going to do, I'm going to take a pair of small scissors, and I'm going to make this opening a little bigger because that tab will need to go inside of there. Whoops. I didn't glue this one down. I put the glue on it, but I didn't glue it. Okay, so now, there we go. Now this is our tab that's going to pull out, and it's going to tuck right inside of this slot, just like that. So you're going to open it just like a regular box, and when you do that, it's going to tell you what you're supposed to do, which is pull. So you're going to pull your little Peeps right out of there. Okay, so now we need to find the center of our box or our platform, and we're going to put our little Peeps right on it. Now I'm going to put some glue on the bottom of the Peeps right here, just like right on this part right here. Then I'm going to put them on the box, just like this, so that the edge of the peep where we cut it off sits right on the edge of the box, just like that. I'm just going to hold that for a second till the glue sets. You want good adhesion because when they come out of the box they're going to pop right up. Okay, looks like we got that one. I'm just going to continue to put these all on the box until I get all 4 on there, and I'll be right back. Alright friends, I'm back with my little peeps all in a row. I want to just talk a minute about lining these little guys up. You want to get them as flat as possible on the band box and get the band box thoroughly attached so that it's totally flat, as you can see. That makes them stand up better, and it makes them stand up in a row. I started out by making a mark in the center of my platform, and I started with the middle bunny and I worked my way out both ways. I found that you just get better results that way. The other thing I did while I was off camera was to cut out some little pieces. The die provides the decorator pieces. I cut 3 of these. One for here, when the box is closed, that's going to show, and the other for the other end. And that's going to show when you pull the peeps out. So you don't want all that messy tabs and all that stuff showing, so that'll cover that up. Okay, so now that we've covered that, let's talk about hanging with my peeps. When I was online, I was looking for peep images, of course. I found those, and I also found some phrases hanging with my peeps. And what I did was use this die as the measurement. This is a decorator die also in the slider box die set. And it is approximately 4 inches wide by a 1/2 inch tall. So I adjusted my print accordingly. Now you can do this pretty easily in Word. I use a program called Publisher, so if you don't have that, Word will work as well. But then I printed several of them out, and then before I cut them, I put some double-sided adhesive on the back, because I like them to, number 1, be a sticker. They're easier to apply. Number 2, it makes a little like a puffy edge. It's more finished look, and I really like that. So that's up to you. You don't have to put the tape on, but that's what I like to do. Alright, so let's talk about the sleeve of our box. The die set provides this piece, which is the sleeve, and we need 2 of these. And I have cut them out already. Now, I wanted to put a panel on the front of mine, which is slightly bigger than the front of the box. And the reason I wanted to do that was for the logo. The logo is a little bit bigger, and I didn't want to cover up the peeps. I'm going to make a window, and then I want to put the logo right up here. Now, there is nobody in this world that hates fussy cutting more than I do. If I can help it at all, I just never do it. But I did print out several copies of the logo, the Peeps logo, sized them the way I want them, and then I did fussy cut it. And since I do not like white edges on my paper showing, I put a navy blue marker and went right and edged all the way around it to make it look totally finished. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so now I want to put a window on my slider box, and so I took my front panel, and I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I did mark it. It's 3/8 of an inch from the bottom here. I made a mark here, and I made a mark here, and then I put a mark just a little bit over 3/8 of an inch over here, and I'm going to line up the window die with those marks, and that's this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and well, sorry about that. What I'm going to do first is attach it to the bottom of the box, and I did corner around the edges on this, so I did corner around the edges on the bottom of the box. Now the top isn't going to show, so it's not going to matter that much. But what I did was put a little bit of temporary adhesive right where my window is going to be. Then I lined up these 2 panels, and And the reason I'm doing that is I want to cut the window one time and have it match up perfectly. And by doing this, you get a perfect match. So I lined it up just like that. I'm going to press down the temporary adhesive. I'm going to put my die on the paper, and then I'm going to take it to my die cutting machine, and I will be back in a second. Okay, I'm back from the die cutting machine, and I did take some time to straighten out the front panel. I noticed that when I pressed it down that it moved just a little bit. It's important that you cut the window exactly the same. That's why I like to cut them both at the same time. That way when we get done, everything lines up perfectly. So now I'm going to just set this our front panel aside for a second while I construct the rest of the box. Okay, so here I have my window, and this is going to be the bottom of my box. These two pieces need to join together, and I'm going to glue them right now. Put plenty of glue on them so they stay nice and sturdy. You're going to put this piece up here along the crease, just like that. Get them nice and lined up, give them a good press down. Okay, that looks good. Now before we go any further, I'm going to add the acetate to the window. So I'm going to turn the whole piece over. I'm going to take my acetate. Now this piece is cut 2 1/8 by 4 1/8, and I'm using some old packaging. You want something a little bit sturdy for this, not something flimsy, so a nice weight of acetate. I can't tell you what weight this is because I used packaging. But what I'm going to do is use dry adhesive, and I'm going to put the dry adhesive all the way around the window opening on the back. I like to use a lot of dry adhesive for acetate. It holds it nice and steady, and you don't have the mess of glue. So now I'm going to take my piece of acetate and add it right on my adhesive to make that window panel. So I'm going to bend this up here so I know where the edge is. Put that right along there. I get it nice and straight, not in the creases, and on the adhesive. Okay. Now, there we go. Now, see I have a little stray adhesive over here, so since I use dry adhesive, I can just roll that off, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, so nothing sticky here. So now I can close up my box. So I'm going to close this part this way. I'm going to put my adhesive on this narrow strip. Whoops, I'm going to put it on the top of the narrow strip. So sorry. I'm going to fold this one down, put my adhesive on the front part of it. There we go. I'm going to bring this one up to meet that. So get it lined up nice and neat. Okay. It's nice and neat. Got my acetate added. I have a little sleeve. So now we just want to close up this end. So I'm going to set it upside down just like that. I'm going to put a little dot of glue here and here and here and here. Now I'm going to press it down so that the glue touches. And what I like to do with these boxes so I get it nice and flat on the bottom is take one that I've previously made and just put it in here like that and press it down so that all the glue gets set down in there. Nice and neat on the bottom. And it keeps it nice and square that way. Okay. So now, as long as that's still in there, to hold that together, I'm going to put my other panel on that I cut, the third one that I cut. And everything looks nice and tidy. Just like that. Press it down a little bit on that end. Give it a little time to set. And there we have it. Ready for those peeps to go popping in there. I'm going to put the front panel on, and the reason that I cut it the way I did, both panels at once, is so that it fits perfectly and the windows line up exactly. But before I do that, I'm going to erase my pencil marks. I see they're still there. Clean that up a little bit. Now I'm going to add some glue right along the window. I can put it all over it because this whole panel is going to be covered up. You just don't want to get it on the acetate. Right. Just like that. I'm going to put this back inside for a little extra support. Now I'm going to place the window and line it up exactly. Everything's lined up. Oops, I need to push it up a little bit. Okay, everything is aligned. Looks good. The next thing we're going to do is put our little peeps in there. I find that it's easier if you close this tab before you put them in. So what I like to do is just put my hand over them like that and slide them in the box. And there they are, those cute little guys. Okay, it's time to put the label on, the finishing touch, and we're going to be all set. Now this little logo, I sized it to be about 2 inches long across this, and let's see, it is about 3/4 of an inch wide. So I'm going to go ahead and put some temporary adhesive on this so till I get it placed. Just a little piece right down the middle. Now I'm going to place it on the box just like this. I'm going to put that, I'm trying to see, I got to put that E right in the center of those 2 center bunnies. Whoops. Okay, a little adjustment. A little bit more. Okay, I'm going to slide that right like that. I want to get it placed just the way I like it. I think that's looking good. I'm going to press that temporary adhesive down, and then what I'm going to do is lift this up slightly and put a little glue under there. That way it will not come off. A little glue on that end and a little glue on this end. It's a little awkward. Press it down, nice and neat, and it's all set to go. There you have it. A box of Peeps. One of my favorite things in the world. Okay, so I'm going to make a few of these for my friends. And so when they get them, this is what it's going to look like. Just like this. Bring those Peeps out. Hanging with my Peeps. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video and how I made my little Peeps, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.